Have you ever caught yourself whispering, "Better to let it go. It's not worth the fight. I'm above this"? How many times have you choked back the right word, the necessary stand, the scream clawing at your throat, all to dodge a storm? Each time you do, you carve a wound into your own soul. You betray the man you were meant to be. They turned their weakness into a crown, calling submission humility, passivity nobility, and you've been taught to wear it proudly. You think you're being good when you're silent, noble when you bow, but you're letting yourself be tamed. Nietzsche, and On the Genealogy of Morals, exposed a brutal truth. The values you hold as good weren't born from strength or nobility. They were crafted by the weak, the resentful, those who couldn't fight back. Picture an ancient world where power ruled. Warriors, unapologetic in their will, lived by a code of courage, pride, and self-assertion. For them, good was strength, vitality, the fire to shape the world. But the powerless, unable to compete, flipped the game. They couldn't win through force, so they rewrote the rules, turning strength into sin, pride into arrogance, courage into cruelty. Weakness became virtue, humility, obedience, submission, elevated as the highest good, not from love, but from survival. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a system that glorifies retreat, renunciation, passivity, not as choices, but as defenses against powerlessness. It's the moment you smile through gritted teeth as someone oversteps, then spend hours stewing. It's the quiet rage when your goodwill is exploited, yet you say nothing. Misunderstood by many. It's not about dominating others, but about embracing life's primal drive to grow, assert, transcend. It's the force that pushes a seed through stone, a lion to roar, a man to create. Slave morality suffocates this will, teaching you to shrink, to conform, to fear your own strength. When you repress it, it doesn't die, it corrupts, breeding resentment and passivity. Every time you choose quiet over confrontation, you're not neutral, you're complicit. You teach the world it's okay to cross you, to disrespect you, to diminish you. It's a battle against the fear of conflict, against the masks you wear to please others. How often have you lived for their approval, parents, partners, society, swallowing your truth to avoid discomfort? You're not a camel, doomed to carry others' burdens. You have the lion's roar, the child's joy. If this stirs you, if it cracks the lies you've lived, comment below. I choose to no longer remain silent. Write it. Mean it. It's your first step. This isn't the end. Join me in the next journey to deepen this transformation. You're not made to shrink. You're made to rise, to speak, to live with fire. Seize it now. Each time you do, you drift further from yourself. Conflict is the forge where identity is shaped. Without it, there's no self-knowledge, no authenticity, only a hollow performance. To become who you are, say no to expectations, to roles, to your own urge to appease. It's lonely at first, shedding the herd's rules, but it's freedom. Each clash faced, each boundary set, each truth spoken, even trembling, brings you closer to your core. Nature saw that silence in the face of injustice doesn't build peace. It builds a tomb for your will. The world notices your fear, and those who thrive on power exploit it. Every unspoken boundary invites another violation. Every buried truth lets lies take root. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Conflict, when just, is where your integrity shines, where you show you have a spine, values, limits. Ask yourself, is my silence wisdom or cowardice? That question, answered honestly, can reshape your life. Reclaiming your will to power means shedding the lie that virtue lies in submission. It means seeing conflict not as evil, but as a forge for your soul. Start small. Say no when you mean it. Set boundaries without apology. Face conflict with clarity, not to destroy but to affirm your existence. The will to power isn't oppression, it's liberation. The courage to live with a spine unbent, a soul unbound. To reach this, you must walk through fire, through Nietzsche's 3 metamorphoses: the camel, the lion, and the child. Nietzsche warns, the resentful don't just suffer, they become complicit in their own chains. By avoiding conflict, you feed this poison, trapping yourself in a cycle. The more you flee confrontation, the more resentment builds. The more resentment builds, the less courage you have to stand. Over time, you may even embrace this as your identity, a martyr proud of your suffering, calling it goodness when it's just fear. But Nietzsche didn't leave you in this prison. There's a path out, a way to reclaim your fire through the will to power. Let's step into that light. Stop for a moment. How many injustices have you endured to keep the peace? How many times have you bitten your tongue when your soul screamed to speak? From childhood, you were fed this code. Don't fight, don't argue, be nice, stay quiet. First, you are the camel, burdened by society's expectations, carrying the weight of thou shalt, be meek, be silent, avoid conflict. The camel endures, proud of its suffering, but it's a sterile strength, a life of resignation. Then comes the lion, the spirit that rebels, roaring no to the chains of slave morality. The lion faces the dragon of thou shalt, its scales gleaming with commands to submit, to avoid, to appease. To slay it, you must brave disapproval, guilt, rejection, the fire of standing firm. Finally, the child emerges, free from burdens and battles, creating new values with joy and authenticity. Conflict becomes not a war but a canvas where you paint your truth. This is rebirth, but it demands courage to face the storm. You were taught that confrontation is wrong, that asserting yourself is selfish. Nietzsche dissected the human soul with surgical precision, and in On the Genealogy of Morals, he revealed resentment as the bitter fruit of suppressed will. When you want to act, to stand, to speak, but fear stops you, that energy doesn't disappear. It turns inward, curdling into poison. The resentful man longs to confront but doesn't dare. He yearns to claim his space but fears the fallout. So he buries his fire, crafting a story to justify his silence. I'm better because I don't react. I'm noble because I forgive. I'm above their petty games. But it's a lie. Beneath this mask of virtue burns unprocessed anger, a quiet fury at your own powerlessness. You feel it those sleepless nights replaying what you should have said, the bitterness when someone crosses your boundaries again, the weight of pretending peace while your soul simmers. Every time you hold your tongue to avoid a scene, every time you bow to keep the peace, you're living by this slave morality. You've been conditioned to believe strength is bad, that claiming your space is evil. But you're not weak. You've been taught to fear your own power. The result is a life spent dodging conflict, convincing yourself it's maturity when it's fear holding the reins. The poison doesn't stop there. The anger you suppress doesn't vanish. It festers, turning into resentment, a silent rot that shapes your life in ways you barely see. Let's go deeper because the hardest truths are still ahead. How many slights, insults, or betrayals have you buried in the name of harmony? This isn't about picking fights. It's about reclaiming your dignity. If you don't face conflict, it will devour you from within, leaving only resentment, a poison that builds until you either explode or collapse into apathy, convinced that goodness means being harmless. Nietzsche offers a way out, a philosophy that shatters the chains of submission. Conflict, far from your enemy, can be your liberation. Let's dive into his vision, peel back the lies, and uncover how to break free. Are you ready to face truths that sting? Stay with me. This could change how you see yourself and the world forever. Society has sold you a lie, dressed it up as virtue. Silence is maturity, peace is politeness, swallowing your anger is strength. But it's a trap, a velvet cage that keeps you small, chained to fear disguised as goodness. Nietzsche saw through this illusion with a gaze that burned like fire. He knew your so-called virtue is often just cowardice and a saint's cloaked fear of confrontation, fear of losing love, fear of being seen as too much. As long as you live to please, to avoid the clash, you'll be condemned to swallow your own rage, letting it fester until it consumes you. Nietzsche called this the slave morality, a code forged not by the bold, but by the powerless, the resentful, those too weak to fight back. To understand why you shrink from conflict, you must look beyond your own fears to the roots of human morality. This isn't ancient history, it's the air you breathe. Resentment is the shadow of your silence, the price of every unspoken truth. Every time you let an offense slide, every time you swallow disrespect to avoid a fight, resentment grows. Nietzsche wasn't content to diagnose the soul sickness. He offered a cure, the will to power. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche maps the spirit's journey. The final truth cuts deepest. Your silence has a price. Becoming who you are, as Nietzsche urges in Exe Homo, is no gentle path. Nietzsche doesn't promise comfort, only integrity. Your silence isn't kindness, it's surrender feeding the very forces that oppress you. Break the cycle,